hello, how are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we're here to talk about a very serious situation. It's serious, it really is. The lack of the ability to buy a tassel in the color that you need. Right? Am I right? Like, you go to the store, you pick up a package, they're like all neon, or they're like the weirdest shade of blue you've ever seen, but it's never the color that you need it to be. So, you just do without. You don't get your tassel. We are tassel deprived. So I'm going to show you how to make a jig so you can make your own tassels. And you can make them in any size, any thickness that you want, okay? You know, because it finishes a project. It makes it look nice and finished and complete. And, you know, this is a nice big fat one, and that's just a smaller one. But we're going to talk about these, and we're going to talk about the different materials that you would use to make them. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the supplies. Glue. Pliers. Now these can be bullnose pliers, round nose pliers, barrel pliers, whatever you want. That's what you're looking for. A pair of scissors, a needle here, like an embroidery needle, a plastic canvas needle, kind of helpful. Some jump rings, some chipboard, and a cutter. Okay? So that's what we're going to need to build the jig. So let me get this stuff off here and let's do this. So, you want something that's at least, 4 or 5 inches across. This one is 5 inches. That's a good width. And we're going to cut some pieces here. Now, the pieces that we are going to cut, let's get the glue out of the way. The pieces that we're going to cut are going to be 2 inches wide. And we are going to cut, like 6 of these. And 6. Alright, so we have 6 of these. Now we're going to cut some more, and we're going to use some more chipboard, so don't get excited here. But we're going to get started on the first part. 2 inches wide, 5 inches across. I have 6 of them. We're going to divide them into 2 piles, and very easily all we're going to do is we're going to glue them together. We're going to glue these 3 together, and we're going to glue those 3 together, but we're not going to glue all 6 of them together, okay? So, glue. Next one. Stack it on. You want to make sure that you keep this fairly even, okay? Do the next one, and I'm going to do this to both sides, and then when I'm done, I'm going to actually put a couple of clamps on this and let it sit for about 5 minutes just to dry. And then I will be back with another piece of chipboard and the next step here, okay? So this is easy peasy. I'll be right back as soon as all of this gets glued up and dries. So now, let's move on to the next part. So I have another 5-inch wide piece here. And I need to... It's right at 5 inches, so I'm going to take it down to 4 3/4. So I'm just going to cut 1/4 inch off of this side, and then I'm going to cut 1.5 inch strips from this, and I'm going to cut 3 of those. There's 1. And 3. And then I'm going to give these the same treatment that I gave to the other pieces. Okay, where we're going to glue them all together so that we have these thicker pieces. And once I have everything all glued and set up, I will be right back. Right, so everything is all glued up. Take these clamps off real quick. And so now we have 3 parts. We have 2 pieces that are 5 by 2. And then we have another one that is 1.5 by 4 3/4. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to make a sandwich out of this. I'm going to put glue on the little piece. The whole thing is based on the little piece, okay? So we're going to put some glue on here. And then we're going to put this all the way to the edge and in the middle. Okay? So you've got a little gap over here, and a gap here, and a gap here, all right? Then we're going to put some glue on this. And then we're going to put this piece on the top, making sure that we line it up with the other piece. So we have a nice solid here, open, open, open. Once we've got it all done, we're going to go ahead and clamp this. Now you do want to be careful in clamping this one because you have those gaps on the side, and so you don't want to clamp like out here because that's going to pull it apart. You want to get as far in as you can. We're going to give this about a good 10-15 minutes to dry. I'm using our glitter glue, so it dries relatively quick. If you're using like a regular Aleene's tacky glue or something like that, you may want to give this about half an hour or so. So go ahead and pause the video right here, and then we'll be back and I'll show you how this works. While everything is gluing up, I thought I'd take a second to talk about some of the better strings and chords that you're going to be using to do this. So I'm going to move these real quick, and we're going to talk about these two because these are the most common ones. This is floss, embroidery floss. This is friendship thread, okay? So let me tell you the difference between the two. So embroidery floss, they look the same. They really do. When you look at them, they look pretty much the same until you look closely, okay? So I'm going to bring this up so you can see. So this is the embroidery floss, and if you look at this, let me see if I can get this a little better where you can see it. See how this has ridges? This is the embroidery floss. You see there is no ridges? Okay, so let me show you why. Because embroidery floss, when you embroider, you're only going to use 2 or 3 strings. So there's 6 strings here, and you can easily pull them apart and then thread this on a needle to use. Friendship bracelet cord is more like a twine, like a rope. They take these and they twist these, and then when that's twisted, they take 2 or 3 of these and they twist those together, and they come up with this cord that's like a rope. Okay, so these fibers do not come apart like those do. So that's the primary difference between the two of these. The floss comes in cotton, synthetics, silks, satins, metallics, you name it. And it comes in thousands of colors. This is going to be found in that little no man's land between fabric and yarn. Okay? These are going to be found in the kids' craft section. About the same cost. Okay? Now let's talk about these. So these are different. The next one that a lot of people use, not most, but a lot of people use because it's commercially easy to find, are these little skeins of yarn. And this is really tiny, thin yarn. And what it's used for primarily is for like making doilies, or like the fussy edge on a doll's christening gown, or a doll clothes, or maybe a baby blanket or something like that. That's what this is for. It's very soft, even though it has the metallic in it. It's very soft, but it's more of a yarn than it is a thread or string. And then the other one that I commonly see people use is this here. This is 2mm silk cord. You can get this from there's a lot of eBay vendors that sell it, a lot of Etsy vendors that sell it. So you can pick this up in like an Etsy shop or an eBay shop. I know I carry a certain amount of colors, not every color, but I do carry some colors in my shop. And you want about a yard to a yard and a half of these cords per tassel, okay? So I just wanted to talk a little bit real quick about the different types of cords that you can use to do this, and I'm going to go ahead and get the clamps off of our jig, and we're going to get started on making one of these. Okay, so let's make a tassel now that we've made the jig. So this is some embroidery floss. I'm just going to take the pieces off of there, and I'm going to open that up. Make sure that I have the full loop. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut about a 6-inch piece, which you are going to put into the channel here. You just want it to stick out on both sides, okay? Now you can take a clamp and you can clamp that on there. That just kind of keeps it out of the way. Make sure it stays in there for the moment. And then we're going to pull some of our embroidery floss off. Now I like to stay kind of close to the end here. And all I'm going to do is wrap this around about 25 times. Okay, and then when I have that all the way around, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off. And this is where our string comes in handy. I'm just going to bring this up, and I'm going to tie this as tight as I can, okay? And I'm just going to make a square knot. Now I can slide this whole thing off the end of my jig. And I have this little loop. Now if I'm just going to use this, I don't have to go any further than that. But if I am going to be using this to put it on jewelry, I'm going to want to use a jump ring. So let me get one out here. Pliers. Now remember, whenever you're using jump rings, you don't pull them apart, you twist them, okay? So I'm going to twist this open, and I'm going to stick as close to that knot as I can to attach this, because that is where I'm going to be guaranteed to get all of the threads. And I'm just going to put it through, and then I'm just going to close it. go. And then I'm going to cut another piece of thread, about 4 or 5 inches, doesn't matter. And I'm going to pull all of my threads, including the one that I tied it with, down. And then I'm going to wrap this thread around here as tight as I can. And then I'm going to tie this. I'm going to pull it as tight as I can. I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to tie it again, and this time I'm going to put in an actual square knot. Okay, right over left, left over right. We know the deal. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to cut through my loops. And I'm going to pull all my thread down, making sure I don't have anything that's rolled over. And then I'm going to cut this nice and even, or I can round it, whatever I want to do. And there it is. I have a nice tassel that I can now attach to whatever piece of jewelry or project I want to put it on, and easy peasy. Now if I want to make a long tassel, that's why we left the groove at the top here. You can again just put in a piece of thread, wrap around, tie the thread, take it off, same procedure. Okay, now if you want this to use this to make a pom-pom, you do the same thing. You just wrap, you just put a piece of string through here and you just wrap your yarn all the way around, all the way to the end, and do it a couple, 2-3 layers. And then you take your end strings and hold them, slide the whole thing off, then tie it as tight as you can and knit your circles. That's it. It's really that easy. So, and that is, I mean, that's a pretty rough, hard piece. If for whatever reason you forget to put your thread in here, that's what the needle is for. You can just put a piece of thread on the needle and you can just kind of push it underneath, pull it up, and it'll allow you to get that thread in there. Okay, that's it, guys. That's all I have for you. I hope that this one helps some people out who have wanted to put tassels on projects and haven't been able to because they just can't figure out how to make the tassel work. You know, how to get the right colors and all of that. So that's it for me today. Listen, if you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me, like me, ring my bell, and share me with all your friends, and then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends, and before you know it, we have a giant crafting community. Till the next time, stay safe. Bye-bye.